ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another episode of the CD Racoola Show. Today's episode, we get our passports ready as we prepare to enter into and review George Romero's 2005 film, Land of the Dead. Okay, so in Land of the Dead, this is post-apocalyptic zombie stuff. The zombies have truly taken over here. The zombies have already won. They got the W, they got the win, and own 99.9% of the world. But humanity has built itself a little stronghold, with the super rich, of course, being at the top of the new class system of people. The rich live in a tower called Fiddler's Green. Listen to that, Fiddler's Green, where they receive all the finer things in life just like they did before the zombie apocalypse, while the rest of the population has to struggle for food and shelter. The head honcho, the boss man, the big cheese of this holdout of humanity is Paul Kaufman. If you guys ever watched my episode on Night of the Living Dead, which you certainly should, you'll remember Zombie 101, that there's always some super rich guy trying to run things. Well, Land of the Dead also follows these rules to the T, and Mr. Paul Kaufman is the super rich guy trying to run the show. He's of course played by Dennis Hopper, whom I have loads of love for, simply for the fact that he plays a villain the majority of the time. You know old CD loves himself a baddie. You already know this. You do. I know you know. He plays a pretty good villain in the film Speed, Waterworld. Look at this film oh my goodness, look at that. So funny. And also Super Mario Brothers, or Mario Brothers, whatever you want to call it, where he played King Koopa. Another funny villain right there. So awesome. His right-hand man in this film that comes back to bite him in the end, literally, that man is Cholo de Mora, played by none other than John Leguizamo. John Leguizamo was also in Super Mario Brothers. He played Luigi in that film. Here's a pic of him. Here's Luigi. When I think of John Leguizamo, you know what film I think of him in? The 1997 Spawn film, where he played the Violator. He was actually pretty good in that movie, and the Violator was a totally awesome character. You have to admit the Violator was awesome. Don't sit back here and lie to yourself. I'm going to be dead honest with you. I think that Spawn film was about as close as a hero film has ever gotten to being a horror movie. I mean, it definitely had some elements. You have to admit it had elements. Aren't they making a new Spawn film soon, or they're supposed to? I'm by no means into superhero films. In fact, quite the opposite. But if they could do a truly dark and twisted Spawn movie, I may just be in for it, you know. Anywho, back to the Land of the Dead. This film had some cool-looking zombies, especially the lead zombie known as Big Daddy in the film. I like the fact that although these are your standard slow-moving zombies, as is tradition for Romero films, they're able to adapt and even use some weapons. Smart zombies that have adapted to use weapons and their overpowering numbers to their advantage. Methinks humankind be in big trouble. There were quite a few comedic elements to this film, and a little bit of cheesiness, no doubt. But honestly, it was the right kind of cheesiness for me. And like I said before, lots of horror films incorporate some form of comedy. You know, just to break things up and make you giggle a little bit before you scream. I think about the Leprechaun films, since we have St. Paddy's Day coming up here. Those films definitely had their share of comedic elements. But I like them anyhow, you know. I like the comedy stuff. It adds a little something to it to me, a little spice. Another cool element in this film was the vehicle Dead Reckoning. A giant armored beast of a truck that was used to plow through the zombie wastelands. It was almost as cool as the Creepers truck. Almost as cool as that Jeepers Creepers truck. Both look a little rusty to me. The captain of the Dead Reckoning, played by Simon Baker. Simon was also in The Ring 2, by the way, if you ever saw that. I'm definitely going to have to review the Ring films, probably start with the first one. I haven't reviewed that many ghost films, come to think of it, at all on this YouTube thing. I need to show some love to the ghosts, for sure. Like I said before, if you guys have any ideas of a film I should do a review of at all, you just have to leave a suggestion down in the comments. It's really just not that hard, baby. I did like this film, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but the bad guy, played by Dennis Hopper, gets what he deserves, and in this one, and maybe you actually feel a little bad for the zombies in this film. Some of you will be rooting for the zombies. I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm always rooting for the creatures of the night. But I may be a little biased here, as I am a child of the night myself. Let's take a look at one of the scariest and coolest scenes in this film, when the zombie horde is crossing the water, and just their heads poking out. So cool and so creepy. I don't think that this film was insanely scary, but I did enjoy it, and since it was directed by George Romero, I'll give it a decent score on the old scoreometer. Why not? I didn't, however, think it was the scariest of Romero's dead movie franchise. I think the scariest, at least to me, was actually the Zack Snyder remake, Dawn of the Dead, in 2004. I will eventually do a review of that film, maybe sometime this century. I have the time, why not? I would like to thank you for joining me here on the C.T. Racoola Show, and if you could resurrect yourself from the grave and use your disgusting, maggot-riddled zombie hand to push the like, share, and subscribe button, I would be most obliged. Please join me next episode when we review The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Oh boy, I love that movie monster so much. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. You don't want to miss The Creature from the Black Lagoon, do you? So till next time, my dearies, if you ever get nightmares from a scary movie, and many of you out there do, just remember this. Real life is much scarier than any old movie, and there are things out there that you might not understand. Things that, quite frankly, you don't want to understand. Dark and evil things that would scare the daylights out of you if you knew they even existed. So I'm going to give you some helpful advice here. Ignorance is bliss. And stay stupid, my friends. Ha 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 ha. Ta-ta. Ta-ta.